All right, buckle up, folks. We're not prancing into some cozy medieval castle with roaring fires and endless mead. Nope, we're diving headfirst into the real Middle Ages winter home. Think smoky, drafty huts, frozen dirt floors, and peasants just trying not to become human icicles. Snow sneaking through the roof like an uninvited guest, bread hard enough to double as a weapon. Bowls? Oh, they're practically knocking on the door, RSVPing for dinner, and yet every morning you drag yourself out of bed to do it all again, because apparently freezing is a full-time job. If you're into this slow, gritty history vibe to unwind, smash that like button and subscribe, but only if it genuinely calms your soul. Drop a comment with where you're at and what time it is. It's weirdly nice to know who else is vibing with the frostbite aesthetic. So dim the lights, maybe crank a fan for that soothing hum, wrap yourself in a blanket burrito, and let's dive into a season that didn't just test people, it tried to yeet them into oblivion. Winter doesn't send to save the day. It creeps in like a shady landlord, making your bones ache like they're auditioning for a role as stale baguettes. The sky, it goes from cheery blue to depressed dishwater gray. And the animals? They start side-eyeing you like they know the apocalypse is coming and you're not on the guest list. Autumn doesn't exit stage left, it slinks away like it owes you money. Leaves fall, sure, but the real giveaway is the wind turning into a nosy jerk, sneaking through every crack in your hut like it's casing the joint. The chickens go mute, the dog stops barking and starts eavesdropping on the breeze, and the sun. It's phoning it in, giving off all the warmth of a soggy napkin. Everyone's speed walking now, not because they've got places to be, but because standing still feels like inviting frostbite to a party. Winter doesn't roll in with a dramatic blizzard fanfare. It shows up like a bill collector, quiet, persistent, and ready to ruin your life. First, you're in denial, rocking your flimsy October tunic like it's still summer, throwing on a cloak that's more holes than fabric. I'll patch it, you lie to yourself, knowing full well your needle's bent, your thread's gone, and your fingers are too frozen to care. We love to romanticize preparation, like peasants were out here running a medieval Pinterest board. Spoiler, winter always catches you with your pants down. That roof you meant to fix? Still leaking. That firewood you meant to chop? Oops, forgot. The garden's got a sad pile of turnips you didn't preserve in time. Still, you make do, stuffing straw in wall gaps like a budget contractor, hanging a rag over the door and squishing the whole family near the hearth, including Uncle Gain, who smells like a wet sheep and mumbles about ancient deaths in his sleep. Fires all day? Ha! That's for lords and TikTok influencers. Woods for dinner, and that 1 hour when everyone pretends they're not miserable. Otherwise, you're laying up like a human onion and praying your sibling's body heat doesn't come with a side of BO. The animals get it too. Chickens huddle like they're plotting a coup. Pigs go silent, creepy, and cows, still jerks, as per usual. The ground outside, pure iron. Yesterday's muddy paths are now ankle-twisting, boot-stealing death traps. The water bucket's got an ice lid you smash with a ladle, cursing as your hand goes numb. The sky just looms, gray and judgy, like it's waiting for you to slip up. You squint at the clouds, hoping for a divine PowerPoint presentation. Spoiler, they've got nothing to say. In town, everyone's speed talking like they're late for a Zoom call. Jokes? Extinct? Even the priest's sermons get grim, preaching that cold is God's humble pie. You're like, yo, God, how about a hot cocoa lesson instead? Then one morning, bam, snow. Not a cinematic blizzard, just a sassy dusting, like the Earth's dandruff. Suddenly, your thatch is cosplaying as a ski slope, your breath's doing smoke signals, and every step crunches like you're walking on ancient receipts. In a low-stakes field like tennis practice, snow means you're officially trapped. The Earth's like, shop's closed, see ya in spring. No digging, no planting, just you and whatever sad rations you've got. Didn't store enough? Hope you like essence of turnip stew. You start counting life in bundles. Firewood, grain, turnips, eggs. Good luck, hens are on strike. You keep busy to avoid insanity, mending clothes, scraping pans, stirring ashes like you're hunting for buried treasure. Spinning wool? It's less about yarn and more about not losing your mind. The animals aren't just roommates, they're family now. You wake up with a goat snoring in your face and just roll with it. Evenings are the worst. Sun's out by 4 p.m. and darkness storms in like it's got a vendetta. Candles? Too pricey. Tallow lamps? Smoky AF. You huddle by the fire, listening to the wood crackle or someone's bad idea to tell a ghost story. Spoiler, it's never a good idea when you've got to sprint to the icy privy afterward, praying you don't trip or see a shadow monster. But winter's not all doom and gloom. It's got a twisted rhythm, like a bad Spotify playlist you can't skip. You know the drill, and there's a weird bond in everyone else being miserable too. Small wins feel huge, warm toes for 5 minutes, stew that doesn't taste like sadness, a day without wind turning your hut into a wind tunnel. You celebrate quietly, because if you get too cocky, someone's gonna whisper, "It's only December, bro." Historically, peasants got wrecked by winter. The Little Ice Age in the 14th century turned Europe into a freezer. Rivers froze so hard, people set up pop-up markets on the ice. Yep, medieval Black Friday on a frozen Rhine. Bad years like First Re 151317, rain trashed crops, leading to famines that hit 30 million people. Winter wasn't just cold, it was a serial killer with a vendetta. So, food's gone, time to get creative. Whispers of cannibalism and infanticide float around. Not exactly small talk over stew, but when your dinner's just a sad turnip ghost, you start eyeing Cousin Ed like he's a walking meat pie. Winter's not just about dodging frostbite, it's about not throttling your family. Picture this: 6 humans, 3 goats, 2 chickens, and a bucket of fishy regret crammed into a 20-square-foot hut. That's not a home. It's a medieval reality show with no escape. Every cough, every "you ate my oat" complaint, every questionable digestive symphony is broadcast in 4D. Privacy? Haha, that left with the sun. You avoid fights, not because you're zen, but because arguing lets in more cold air and nobody's got calories to spare. So you hunker down. Your world shrinks to a toasty 3-foot radius around the fire. You memorize every blanket's weight, every floorboard's groan, and the weather's mood swings. Days blur, nights stretch, and time turns into a frosty soup nobody ordered. You're not living, you're just not dying yet. Eventually you stop asking when's spring and just focus on not freezing before lunch. If you're lucky, your firewood lasts. If you're really lucky, your roof doesn't collapse and turn you into a snowman. Winter doesn't knock, it barges in, kicks off its boots, and crashes on your couch for months. And it's not just the cold trying to off you, it's the chores. Top of the list, firewood. You need it like you need air, because without it, you're not a peasant, you're a tax-paying ice cube. Fire's your MVP. It cooks your gruel, thaws your toes, dries your soggy socks, keeps rats at bay, and makes your hut slightly less like a tomb. No fire? Game over. But fire demands wood, and not just a cute little pile for ambiance. We're talking a forest's worth, chopped, hauled, stacked, and cursed at with every medieval swear you know. Gathering firewood's like a second job, except the pay's a sore back and fingers that look like they lost a fight with a porcupine. Got chainsaws or fancy gadgets. You've got an axe that's been in the family since the Crusades. So dull it's basically a club. The handle's cracked, the blade's a suggestion, and half the time it gets stuck in a log, leaving you yanking like you're in a tug-of-war with a tree. You're supposed to start in autumn, everyone says that, but life's messy. The harvest ran late, your neighbor borrowed your axe, and you twisted your ankle fleeing a demonic goose. So here you are in December, swinging at a tree like it stole your lunch, praying it doesn't crush you. Trees are jerks, heavy, snowy, and they never fall where you want. Once it's down, you're still not done. Chop it, haul it, stack it, repeat until your spine files for divorce. If you're lucky, you just ache. If not, you're a cautionary tale at the tavern. Wet wood? Oh, it burns, but it also smokes like a dragon with a vape, turning your hut into a hazy, wheezing nightmare. The rich? They've got minions to do this while they sip wine by a roaring fire. You're the minion, and your fire's a sad pile of damp twigs putting in minimal effort. Oh, and in some places, grabbing wood's illegal. Forests are for lords, and if you're caught snagging a twig, you're looking at fines, a beating, or starring in peasant punishment of the week for daring to stay warm. So you pivot to alternatives. Peat, smells like wet ashes and bad decisions. Dried dung, burns fine, but your hut now reeks like last summer's cow party. You scoop frozen cow patties with numb hands, pretending you're not inhaling regret. Pro, it's free. Con, your home's now a barn-flavored sauna. Stacking wood's an art form. Too tight, mold city. Too loose, your pile collapses and takes out your toe. You build a nice stack, wrap it in your cousin's sketchy canvas, and pray it survives the snow. Spoiler, it won't. And here's the kicker, you never have enough wood. By February, you're burning old chairs, fence posts, or that weird shelf you swore you'd fix. If it burns, it's fair game. No tears, just flames. You dream of logs, not sheep. You bicker over who burned the good stick too soon. You hoard coals like they're gold and treat a dry branch like it's Excalibur. Sleeping's a high-stakes bet. Fire dies, your hut's an icebox, and you're spooning your family for warmth, not love. Livestock crash inside too. Chickens for eggs, pigs for heat, cows for mooing ambience. It's not cozy, it's a noisy, smelly zoo, but it beats freezing solid. Communities team up to chop wood, not for warm fuzzies, but because misery loves company. Everyone's got blisters, everyone's freezing, and everyone's side-eyeing Agnes's suspiciously toasty hut. Some villages share clay ovens or keep communal fires going, baking bread while pretending not to notice Agnes's very warm vibes. Kids and women get stuck gathering kindling, twigs, pine cones, whatever's flammable. You're sent to the woods with a basket and a don't-come-back-empty glare. Chopping's its own circle of hell. Your gloves, if you're fancy, are soaked, your fingers are numb, the axe slips, and a splintery log clips your shin. You yell, not for help, but because it's your only therapy. By midwinter, the ground's too hard, your hands are 90% splinters, and your woodpile's mysteriously half gone. Thanks, neighbor. Still, you keep going. Fire's non-negotiable. It's warmth, food, and the line between spring and starring and worst smell in the village. No fire, no future. So swing that axe, stack that dung, and pray for a thaw before you start burning your dreams. After a day of chopping, stacking, and smelling like a smoked sausage, you flop by the fire, aching and lightly crispy. This ain't cozy, it's just not dead yet, which in the Middle Ages is basically a spa day. Some winters are pure evil, and you name 'em like exes you'll never forgive. The winter of '43, rough caved in, the long freeze, river turned to rock, and everyone tried ice skating in clogs. Spoiler, some didn't stick the landing. A few froze solid, others just yeeted themselves into the void and never came back. You stop asking where they went. It's not like they're chilling at a medieval Airbnb. Firewood's dwindling, wind's whistling, and you're given that wobbly stool the side eye, wondering how it burned. Sentiment? Cute. If it's flammable, it's fair game. Then, like a thief who's over it, the snow slinks away. Mud's back, your boots are MAA, but you made it. You outlasted winter without burning your last log, freezing into a peasant popsicle, or yeeting cousin Carl for swiping your best stick. No trophy, just frostbitten fingers, a permanent campfire cologne, and the smug joy of not being an icicle. Next morning, same grind. Spring's teasing, but winter's a clingy jerk. The chores never quit, and the fire, that needy little diva, demands more wood, more sweat, more you. You give it, not for warm fuzzies, but because survival's the name of the game, one splintery log at a time. Tomorrow's rinse and repeat. Chop, stack, burn, shiver, curse. You don't win winter, you just don't lose. If you're lucky, your axe holds up longer than your will to live. Winter doesn't care if you're tired, the logs won't chop themselves, and warmth? That's a daily hustle, earned with every Hunger's your loudest alarm clock. Not a cute tummy rumble, but a gut punch that has you eyeballing tree bark like it's stew material. Foods like firewood, always low, never easy, and guaranteed to spark a family feud. You don't plan meals, you ration like you're guarding the last slice of pizza at a frat party. You start with your stash, barley, rye, oats, or wheat if you're secretly a lord, or just good at borrowing. Stored in sacks or barrels, it's a buffet for rats, those furry IRS agents who always collect their cut. Your go-to? Pottage, the medieval soup that's less a dish and more a culinary crime scene. Pottage isn't cooked, it's assembled. Toss in sad turnips, questionable beans, wilted greens, and if you're fancy, a strip of pork that's seen better days. It simmers for weeks, maybe months, like a witch's brew that never quits. New scraps go in, old ones haunt the pot forever. Tastes like dirt with a whisper of onion and existential dread. You eat it twice a day if you're ballin', not because it's good, but because it's there. Meat? A rare guest star. No fridge, no cellar, just a slightly less freezing corner of your hut. Fall's pig or borrowed chicken? Salted, smoked, or dried, then hidden from your kids, who'd devour raw bacon and the string it's tied with. Fishing? Sure, if the river's not an ice rink and you haven't burned your rod for warmth. Ice fishing's just you, a hole, and a slow realization that your life's a series of bad choices. Seaside? Dried herring or smoked eel. Nutritious, long-landing, and tastes like sadness in fish form. Inland? You're raiding your neighbor's stash when they're not looking. Bread's a must, but it's a gamble. Made from rye, barley, or desperation, sawdust, acorns, bark, in a pinch. It's less food and more medieval brick. Worse? Damp rye grows ergot, a funky mold that turns your bread into a psychedelic nightmare. One bite, and you're screaming at clouds, seeing visions, or getting burned as a witch, depending on the village vibe. You don't know it's ergot. You just know the bread's got main character energy. Dairy's a maybe if your cow hasn't frozen or wandered off. Milk sours fast, so it's butter or cheese, hard, salty, and ready to fight you. Butter's basically gold, stashed under your bed like a dragon's hoard. Eggs? Dream on. Chickens are in survival mode, not laying. You might get one a week if you sweet-talk the hens and threaten the rooster's ego. Fresh fruit? Veggies? Adorable. You're lucky to have a dried plum from last summer, assuming it's not worm HQ. Vitamin C's from sour cabbage or pickled turnips. Crunchy despair with a vinegar chaser. Keep scurvy at bay, but also your social life. Preservation's your superpower. Salt, smoke, pickle, or dry anything that ever blinked or grew. Jam from summer berries, only if you didn't scarf them in a sugar-crazed frenzy. Herbs hang from the ceiling, dropping into the pottage like sad confetti. Waste nothing, because in winter every crumb's a victory. Every scrap counts. Bones boiled twice, fat hoarded like pirate treasure, even fire ashes recycled into soap or pot-scrubbing grit. Toss out food? You're either unhinged or rich enough to marry on the spot. Hunger's not a polite, ooh, missed lunch vibe. It's your stomach high-fiving your spine, screaming for mercy. You choose sluo, not for taste, but to trick your brain into thinking 3 peas are a feast. Hunger's your clingy winter roommate sitting on your shoulder, critiquing your measly portions, eyeballing your neighbor's squirrel stew like, not bad. You wake up hungry, sleep hungry, and get used to the gut-gnawing mouse party in your belly. Smell stew from next door? You're half a second from trading your kid for a spoonful. Even fancy peasants just get extra helpings of the same bland slop. A rare treat. Honeycomb, an apple slice, a beef bit the size of a dime. Sparks a party, not for flavor, but because it screams, life doesn't always suck. Then come the lean years, like 1316's horror show. Rain-drowned crops, rot-ruined fields, grain ghosted, cows starved. The Great Famine wasn't just a catchy name, it was a nightmare. People chowed on roots, moss, or yup, stewed shoe leather, medieval yelp no stars. Monks scribbled it all down, families vanishing, parents picking which kid got the last crumb, folks clutching turnips like gold as they keeled over in snow. That's not campfire spooky tales, it's history's grim post-it notes. And when you do scrounge food, the fire's out, so you're slurping cold stew by candlelight, wrapped in a fur that reeks of its former owner. You're grateful, though, better than chewing your own lip. Meals are quick, hunger's eternal. You scrape your bowl like it's a crime scene, lick your fingers and eye the pot like, could I eat you? You don't, it's your only one. Your body slows, you shed pounds. Not beach bod vibes, just still kicking vibes. Hunger's not a drama, it's just Tuesday. You don't dream of being full, just not more miserable. Winter's a haggle with your pantry in the calendar, counting meals till April. Holiday feasts? Unless you're tight with a lord, maybe you save a sausage for Christmas, or a neighbor drops a pie of don't ask meat. You scarf it in 3 bites, smile and try not to sob. Festive grubs practical, spiced ale if you've got coin for spices, nut cakes if nuts didn't vanish, pies of dried fruit and pure grit. It's less yum and more joy still a thing, shared with a dozen shivering cousins. So, what's on the menu? Anything that doesn't bite back, preserved, hidden, or boiled into submission. You don't eat, you survive. Hunger's your wool-clad BFF, whispering, "You're not done yet." When spring's first green sprout pops up, you don't Instagram it, you chomp it. Your medieval home, less sanctuary, more shelter adjacent. It's a shaky wooden shack stapled to dirt, held together by vibes, mud, and a group pact not to sneeze too hard. Walls? Wattle and daub if you're fancy. Wood strips slathered with mud, straw, cow poop, and village gossip. You pack it tight, praying it holds before the next storm. Spoiler, it won't. Wind sneaks through cracks on good days, on bad ones it struts in like it's collecting rent. Insulation? Nah. It's just outside versus slightly less outside. Roof? Thatched. Which sounds cute till you realize it's just piled up weeds cosplaying as a triangle. It leaks like a sieve. Rain, snow, even birds and mice move in, charging you rent. Lucky? It half collapses. Unlucky? You wake up with the roof in your lap and a chicken on your face. Floor? Dirt baby. Muddy? You slog. Frozen? You slip. Dry? It's a dust storm in your soup lungs and dreams. Toss straw down for comfort. It turns to moldy foot paste in hours, smelling like despair and regret. Windows? Lol. Glasses for cathedrals and rich jerks. You've got holes, maybe with oiled parchment if you're extra. It lets in light in every breeze till Easter. Curtains? Cloths too precious for privacy. Doors? Barely latched, hinges screaming like banshees. Barricade with a log, or hope the wind's not feeling pranky. Fireplace? A fire pit in the room's center. No chimney, just a roof hole. Smoke fills your hut like a gray fog machine, coating walls, lungs, and your will to live. You don't smell smoke, you are smoke. Furniture sparse, a bench, maybe a stool, a table if you're ballin'. Beds? You, your spouse, kids, and the occasional goat piled onto a straw-stuffed sack. It's not a mattress, it's a flat moldy bug hotel. Pillow? Another sack, maybe feathers if you're lucky, or just crunchy straw. Blankets? Wool or fresh furs if a critter died nearby. You sleep in all your clothes, under every scrap you own, praying body heat and sheer stubbornness keep you alive. Fire dies overnight, you wake up in a breath-fogged freezer, cursing every life choice. Keeping your hut warm is like trying to heat Narnia with a birthday candle. You stoke the fire, but heat and smoke yeet themselves to the rafters for a VIP sauna party, leaving your floor-bound toes to audition for Frozen, Peasant Edition. Stones around the hearth soak up some warmth, if you've got enough wood to make them toasty. Spoiler, you don't. And you stuff cracks with moss, rags, or mud, but the wind's a ninja. It always finds a way in. Some days your hut's colder than the tundra outside and you're too numb to even untie your cloak. Lighting's a treat. Tallow candles drip and stink like beefy regret, while rushlights, grease-dipped reeds burn like a salad got mad. Both team up with the fire's smoke to turn your hut into a medieval vape lounge, coughing included. Thin walls mean you hear everything. Wind howling, cows mooing, your neighbors sneeze, your stomach growling like it's ready to lawyer up. Privacy? A fairy tale. Solitude? only if you bail to the forest and pull a disappearing act. Your hut's a zoo. Chickens squat in corners, a goat naps under the table, and if it's really cold, the cow crashes the main room. Indoor/outdoor. It's just not dead yet. It's warmer, barely, but louder, messier, and smells like a barn that lost a bet with a landfill. You sweep, but the dirt just rearranges like it's got a union. Straw bedding reeks of sour milk, and if a chicken pops an egg by your head at 3 a.m., you whisper thanks and pray it doesn't poop on your blanket. The roof's a critter condo. Birds, rats, bugs nest in the thatch. Come spring, it's a 24/7 pitter-patter party up there. Sometimes they drop in. You scream, the rat screams, and you both act like it's fine. Maintenance? Endless. Doors crack, rafters sag, wind rips the thatch. You patch with string, hope, and a knife duller than your will to live. Nails? Dream on. You wedge stuff together with a rock and a prayer. Leaky roof? You don't grab a bucket, you grab all the buckets, playing a soggy chess game against drips. You name the leaks, curse them, and learn to dodge them in your sleep. But it's not all misery. Sometimes the fire roars, someone tosses you a fur, or a draft chills out for no reason. You call it craftsmanship and high-five yourself. You huddle with family, pretending their BO is cozy. It's not, but it's familiar. This ain't just a smoky shack. It's home, where you were born, your kids were born, and someone probably kicked the bucket last week. You patch it, sweep it, and sweet-talk it like it's on life support. Just hold on, buddy. Picture peasants whitewash walls with lime to kill lice. Practical, not bougie. You think about it, even hoard some lime, but then you're out of firewood again. Herbs dangle to mask the stench, then crumble into your stew. You call it seasoning and choke it down. You dream of a second room, a real floor, a roof that doesn't make you flinch at every gust. It's not happening, so you stitch another patch, listen to the rain ping the buckets, and call it a day. Your hut's not warm, dry, or chill, but it's standing. In a medieval winter, that's basically a penthouse. Dawn's here, or maybe it's just the moon throwing in the towel. Either way, you're up not because you're rested, lull, or punked, hard no, but because frostbite, starvation, or your neighbor's goat will win if you don't move. No weekends, no me time, just scraping frost off your eyebrows and praying you don't faceplant. Winter's a muddy, smoky to-do list that never ends. Gather, mend, feed, haul, boil, patch, repeat. First up, fire. If last night's embers are dead, you're hunched over flint and steel, fingers numb, breath fogging like you're a ghost's stunt double. Wood's gold. Use it like you're rationing unicorn tears. A good fire means warmth, food, and not crying. A bad one? Smoke in your eyes and existential dread. Next, water. The bucket weighs a ton, the stream's half ice, and the path's slicker than a peasant's skating rink. You slip, spill, and curse the ice, the bucket, and winter's entire vibe. Then you trudge back for round 2. Water doesn't Uber itself. Boil it to avoid medieval dysentery roulette, and sneak in some hand warming and hut steaming to delay your daily I'm a failure spiral. Animals are up next. They eat before you do. Chickens are cranky, pigs are screaming, and the cow's giving you the stink eye. You toss them old hay, kitchen scraps, or anything not frozen solid, check for eggs. Nope, hens are on strike. The rooster, though? Full of odd takes. Snowed overnight? Shovel the path with a plank. Hands wrapped in rags, muttering sins that'll get you yeeted from church. Breakfast time, if you can call it that. Reheated pottage with a side of yesterday's regrets. Maybe a crusty bread brick. Someone scraped the pot clean. You're eating the scrapings of the scrapings. No one whines. It takes too many calories. Then the real grind. Men hit the fields, forest, or forge. Women juggle everything else. Spinning wool, mending rags, cooking, scrubbing soot, hauling water, stirring pottage, and keeping 6 kids alive while your hands freeze into permanent claws. Winter's not a season, it's a full-time job with no pay and terrible coworkers. Roof leaking? Your problem. Firewood low? Also you. Goat plotting to freeze, flee, or spontaneously combust? Guess who's on duty? There's no to-do list, just a tsunami of mini-crisis screaming, "Fix me before dark!" Laundry's a weekly descent into hell. You lug clothes to the icy river, smash through the ice, and scrub with ash and lye till your knuckles bleed and your soul files for divorce. Rinse, freeze, repeat. Cooking's a sad improv act. You stir yesterday's pottage, skim off the mold fuzz, toss in water, maybe an herb or a rock for crunch. Serve it hot, call it soup, and pray nobody notices it's basically sadness broth. Afternoons, fix everything. Tools, fences, or the family feud over who swiped the last turnip. You sharpen blades with a stone older than your grandpa, who, by the way, yeeted himself off the same rickety ladder you're using to patch the roof. Kids help by tripping you up. Toddlers get jobs, holding yarn, scaring crows, hauling twigs, 'cause tiny hands gotta earn their gruel. Playtime, that's when they finish early, which is never. Inside, the spinning wheel's your torture device. Wool won't spin itself. Linen won't weave itself. And every thread in your raggedy tunic came from hands that scream, "Why me?" Gloves, a lord's fantasy. Calluses, your new personality trait. Drop a spindle into the fire, you stare, wondering if you should just dive in after it. By late afternoon, the sun's already clocking out. Winter's got no work ethic. Shadows stretch, and you're racing to finish before it's pitch black. Patch walls with mud, rehang creaky hinges. Fix the roof with straw, a rock, and unhinged optimism. Then prep for night. Stir stew, stoke fire, scrape frost off the inside of your water bucket. Swap to warmer clothes. Same rags, just with extra despair. Dinner's a vibe, watery stew, bread hard enough to knock out a night, and a shared mug of ale so weak it's basically sad water. Sit by the hearth, close enough for warmth, far enough to dodge sparks. Eat fast, heat's got places to be. No Netflix and chill, post-dinner's more spinning, sock mending, cloak patching, and soot scrubbing. Kids conk out near the fire, a snoring pile of chaos. Adults stay up, not for fun, but to babysit the fire and haul tomorrow's wood. If you're lucky, someone sings a soft, not quite happy tune while spinning or shelling peas. It's not joy, but it's something, a whisper that life's more than chores. Night crashes early. You collapse in the same grimy clothes under a damp blanket on a straw mattress that's 90% bugs. Wind rattles shutters, the goat farts in its sleep, and you pray the roof doesn't cave in. You pass out mid-prayer, not from peace but because exhaustion's the only lullaby you've got. Tomorrow, same circus, different day. Chores loop like a cursed playlist. Sweat, repeat. Holidays? A scam. A day off means freezing in church while a priest drones, "Suffering's holy." Then you sprint home to catch up on chores you missed for all that soul-saving. Winter's monotony with life or math stakes. Skip a task, someone starves, freezes, or doesn't see March. A ripped cloak, lost hat, or busted tools, a full-blown catastrophe. Every job's a ticking bomb. You keep going because who else is going to haul water, mend wool, feed the goat, or boil that sketchy gray slop? This is your winter, relentless, like a bad ex who will leave. You dream of rest, of sitting without a mental checklist from dawn to dusk. Rests for lords. You're stuck moving, shifting logs, folding wool, shushing the baby, nodding at your spouse across the smoky hearth. Another day done, another identical one queued up. Your blisters, burns, and bruises don't heal. They just move in, like the smoke in your tunic or the frost on the windowsill. It's not a life you chose, but it's the one you're grinding through. Sickness doesn't ask for an invite, it just shows up. One morning, your nose is a faucet, your throat feels like you swallowed a porcupine, and your joints are puffing up like medieval airbags. Congrats, you've caught something, cold, flu, or ye old plague light. No name, no cure, just vibes and suffering. Winter's a germ party, damp hut, icy air, dead fire, and you've been huffing smoke, goat fur, and wall moss spores since Halloween. Germs? Nobody knows what those are, but your body's throwing a full tantrum. Everyone's coughing and sneezing. No one covers their mouth because tissues are a fevered dream, and hygiene's just village gossip. Kids? Sniffling wrecks. Elders wheezing. Livestock? Probably sick too. You're chugging boiled nettle tea, praying the stench doesn't finish you first. Remedies? Buckle up. Bleeding's the cure-all. Some guy with a rusty knife or a leech decides your fever needs less blood, because that makes sense. Do medieval cures work? Lol, no. But bleeding might make you so woozy you forget you're sick for a hot minute. Herbal tea's another gem. Just whatever dried weeds the village healers scooped up pre-snow. Yarrow, wormwood, nettle, maybe some mystery moss, plus a heaping scoop of believe-in magic. You boil it in a cracked pot, strain it through your grimy sleeve, and sip what tastes like muddy betrayal with a bitter afterkick. Oh, and they might tell you to fast because nothing says fight infection like starving harder. Bread's already a rock, pottage is gray goo, so fasting for the soul is just code for we're out of food. Deal with it. Other fixes? Sniff steam from your soup pot, multitasking, pray till your knees give out, or, slap hot coals near your skin to draw out poison. Spoiler, it draws out screams, not cures. Medical help depends on who shows up. Village healer, you get goop and herbs. Priest, prayers, holy water, and a guilt trip about missing church. Barber surgeon, start drafting your epitaph. The barber surgeon rolls in with a bag of tools that haven't seen soap since the Black Death, grinning like he's here to save the day. You're less thrilled when he eyes your puffy leg, mumbles humors, and pulls out a saw. No anesthetic, just bite a stick and scream into the void like a champ. Feeling fancy? Try purging. Bark laxatives or wine and sadness vomit juice ensure you're not just sick, you're violently sick, questioning why you didn't just let the fever win. But some folks pull through. You sweat through your straw bed, shivering 1 minute, hallucinating dancing turnips the next. The hut's dark, reeking of damp wool and that cursed tea. Sickness spreads like gossip in your smoky, livestock-packed, zero-ventilation shack. You cough, your kid cough, your neighbor coughs through the wall. Soon half the village is sniffling, wheezing, or flat-out KO'd under moldy blankets, sipping onion water, and getting last rites on speed dial. Nobody knows why, so they guess bad air, a curse. Did old Maud's church side-eye jinx everyone? Superstition meets desperation. You're hanging herbs, burning sage, stashing iron under the bed to scare off demons. Does it help? Nope. But it smells better than the goat's sleep farts. Worst part? No sick days, firewood won't chop itself, the cow's not milking itself, and your kids still want dinner, even if it's just nettle-flavored hope. Rest for the dead, so you stagger out, wrapped in every wool scrap, shuffling through snow like a grumpy ghost, praying this is just a cold and not the opening act for something nasty. Because that's the real terror. Not the sniffles, but the chance it's typhoid, pneumonia, or some silent grim reaper vibing in the shadows. Signs it's bad? Fever spikes, breath rattles. You're bedbound. Someone slaps a damp cloth on your forehead like it's a magic fix. The priest shows up, not the healer, not the barber. Just the robe guy saying, time to prep your soul. You speed confess every sin, even stuff you might have thought about, just to be safe. The priest sprinkles mildew-scented holy water, mumbles Latin that sounds like a death sentence. Your family hovers. Nobody says it, but they're bracing. The herb pot simmers. Bread's rationed, blankets tucked tight. You lock eyes with your spouse, both wondering who's making it to spring. But sometimes, glory be, the fever cracks. You wake up, fire's still going, breath's not a death rattle, fingers wiggle, the hut still smells like a wet sheep's nightmare, but you're alive. Recovery's no glow-up, though. Legs wobbly, back screaming, stomach's like, food, hard pass. Stand too fast, nearly faceplant into the fire. First trip outside's like trekking the Arctic on legs made of soggy noodles. No parade, just back to the grind. Split kindling, mend cloaks, check why the pig looks suspiciously puffy. Voice still shot? Tough. Lost weight? Cool, your shoes might last longer. Survive this round? Great, but sickness is like that clingy ex. It's never really gone. Sickness lurks like a creepy uncle, in the wind, the shared mug, that crusty cloth you call a towel. Health's a fleeting Tinder date, not a live-in partner. Still, you keep coughing less, breathing better, and those weird shadow goblins in the corner vanish. Your face gets its color back. along with the crushing weight of chores piling up like unpaid bills. Illness is free, survival's the premium DLC. You don't flex about beating a fever, no one cares. You just wake up, tug on your holy tunic, and start hauling water like nothing happened. In a medieval winter, staying alive is your only trophy, and even that feels like you cheated on a Miracles pop quiz. Authority in medieval Europe? Not a suggestion, it's a brick wall. Like mud frost, or that neighbor who reeks of pickled turnips, it's just there. In winter, when hunger's got you hangry and tempers are shorter than a candle stub, obedience isn't optional. It's enforced with a side of splinters. Talk back, complain, ask why. Congrats, you've signed up for Public Punishment 101. Manor Lord's the big boss. He owns the land. You're just a squatter he hasn't evicted yet. You farm his fields, pay his dues, and bow when he trots by, even if your spine's screaming, I quit. Say no? Cute. Enjoy losing your grain, or chilling in the stocks during a blizzard. Stocks? Winter's worst Airbnb, wooden planks trap your arms and neck while neighbors gawk at your life's lowlights. It's freezing, it's humiliating, and if someone's feeling spicy, they'll chuck a turnip. Or a rock, if they're that guy. Protest? That's a one-way ticket to stocks. Round 2. Boards aren't your only headache. The church is scarier. God might forgive, but Father Grumpy Pants? Hard pass. He's got eyes everywhere, who skipped mass, who worked on a holy day, who's definitely lusting after that neighbor's goat. He's keeping tabs, not for Jesus, but for blackmail. Tithes? Non-negotiable. Hand over 1/10 of your grain, eggs, chickens, or self-respect, even if it leaves you eating air for dinner. Fall short? No polite nudge. Just a public sermon where he stares you down and threatens eternal BBQ. The priest's power isn't brawn. It's his elephant memory. He knows who mumbled during prayers or dared question why Lent's just 6 weeks of weed soup. Winter's cranky vibe makes it easy to land in his crosshairs. One snarky comment and you're dodging blasphemy or witchcraft accusations. The law? More like Farmer Bob with a stick and a power trip. Steal bread, say bye to a hand. Sass a noble, kiss your tongue goodbye. Gossip too loud? Meet the scold's bridle, an iron muzzle that says, shut up or regret it. Private drama is public business. Kid acts up, your fault. Spouse swears, you're both in the hot seat. The whipping post doesn't care who started it, just who's getting whacked. Got brains? Suspicious. Readings for priests, curiosities for troublemakers. Ask too many questions, and someone's yelling, sorcery! Complete with a free drowning or bonfire. Women? Extra screwed. Obey dad, then hubs, then your kid in that order. Speak soft, work hard, and don't give anyone a reason to whisper witch. Heal someone? Witch. No herbs? Witch. Talk back? Super witch. Once witch is floating, you're toast. Literally, with kindling. Villagers aren't just nosy, they're the medieval NSA. That market buddy? Snitch in if you work on a saint's day. Your firewood borrowing cousin? Dropping dime on your sleep-muttered curse. It's not cameras, it's human busybodies, with grudges sharper than your axe. Winter's cold cranks the paranoia. Long nights nurse longer beefs. One stolen tool, bad trade, or missing hen, and you're in a village shame spiral. No appeal, no HR, just hoping your lord's not hangry and the priest didn't stub his toe. Jokes, risky. Crack the wrong one near the wrong ears and your humor's labeled treason. Laugh at the lord's bad puns or the priest's sermon. Safe. Chuckle at the guy in the stocks. Fine. Anything else, you're a rebel with a death wish. Winter makes it worse. Everyone's starving, freezing, and meaner than a frostbitten goat. A summer slap stings, a winter one burns for days, and your only salve is snow and a shut mouth. No town hall for gripes, just orders from above and groveling from below. Push back? Question why Father Thomas gets extra gruel? You're begging for a punishment that'll outlast your usefulness. Winter's not just a season. It's a snitch fest where survival means keeping your head down and your mouth shut. A milking goat gets VIP treatment over a limping peasant. Sorry, your sprained ankle's less useful than Bessie's udder. Your worth, it's all output and yes sir vibes, not your hot takes. Stay quiet, stay useful, or winter's frost will underline your irrelevance in ice. Still, peasants are pros at playing the game. You bow just enough to not pull a muscle, master the art of silent shade, and say yes sir, while your eyes scream, not today, Satan. Obedience is half survival, half Oscar-worthy performance. Kids learn fast how to dodge the Lord's ego, sidestep the priest's death stare, and not snort when old Margaret's snoring drowns out the sermon. No reach for the stars pep talks here, just stay small, stay invisible, stay alive. Even religion, your supposed cozy blanket, is a choke collar. Church drills it in, obey or burn, question and roast, God's watching. And so's Father Thomas, who's way too obsessed with your kneeling form. Night's quiet, but not the peaceful kind. It's heavy, like your existential dread. Fire crackles, wind whines, and someone stumbles home from the tavern. You lie in your wool cocoon thinking how obedience kept you breathing today. Not thrilled, not free, just not dead. Tomorrow? Same script. You obey not because you're team feudalism, but because survival's a pay-to-gay game. Winter demands submission, and you're swiping your obedience card like everyone else. Question the cold? The rules? Might as well ask for a dragon attack. It's suicidal. Even your thoughts aren't safe. You keep them locked behind your eyeballs, because free thinking's a luxury like silk or not starving. So you bow, grit your teeth, and wait for spring, because rebellion in winter, it freezes faster than your toes. You're not alone out here, and not in the warm fuzzy way. It's the something's growling in my door's janky vibe. Winter's a buffet for critters eyeing your food, warmth, or, your face. Wolves are the headliners. By December, they're hangry. By January, they're bold, slinking near your hut, sniffing your chimney like it's a BBQ joint. They smell meat, fear you, hauling firewood or dumping the slop bucket. They're watching, maybe trailing. Attacks are rare, but the village tea's spicy. Slip, douse your lantern, faceplant in a snowdrift, and it's game over. Fast or horrifically not. Wolves aren't solo, smaller creature already roomies. Rats? They're living their best life. Cozy in your barley sacks, napping under your bed, snacking on grain, soap, your shoes. At night, it's Gnaw City, skittering, chewing, or someone shrieking because a rat set up camp in the laundry. Food scarce? Rats go from pests to is this dinner territory. Cats are your MVPs. If you've got a Mauser, it's worth more than your kids, sorry Timmy. They strut like furry lords, demanding firefront seats for their rat-killing services. If they're on strike, rats throw a midnight buffet, and you wake up missing a belt corner. Stray dogs are sketchy, half wild, ribs out, abandoned when the grain ran low. They prowl in scrappy packs, chasing chickens or cornering slowpokes. They bark at ghosts, wind, or nothing. But when they're starving, barking turns to biting. Trust? Not in this economy. What's got links is rare, sneaky blurs of claws that ghost you before you're sure they're real. They usually avoid humans. Usually. A village cameo? Just bad luck. Boars? Big, dumb, and mean. They don't hunt, they charge. Hunters go for boar meat in lean times. Some score dinner, others become a cautionary tale. Inside's no sanctuary. Cold drives in spiders, beetles, centipedes. Crunchy squatters you squish barefoot at dawn, screaming internally. Sweep 'em into the fire, watch 'em pop, then stir your soup, like you're not traumatized. Food's your treasure. Dried meat, apples, cheese, fish, and you guard it like a dragon. Mice are relentless, mold's a ninja, and your dog's staring at the pantry like it's a rom-com lead. Hang food from rafters? Cool, till a rat parkours up and yeets your sausage. Find bite marks in bread or droppings in the flour? Wipe it off, pretend it's fine. Waste is for lords. Birds get creepy. Crows stalk you, perched on roofs, staring like they know your pin. 3 on your doorstep, you're half convinced they're plotting your doom. Winter amps everything. Sounds carry, snow crunches louder, and when you hear growls or snapping twigs, your heart doesn't race, it freezes. Because sometimes it's not a wolf, it's a person, hungrier than a beast and twice as shady. Bandits don't take winter vacays. They're cold, desperate, and ready to kick your door in for a crumb. You sleep light, clutching a rusty blade sharp enough to maybe scare them off. You pray you never test it. Every creak, gust, or bump in the night's a pop quiz. Just the cold being extra, or is something trying to RSVP for dinner? You learn winter's secret code. Snow disturbed by sneaky paws. Silence that screams, you're being watched. You listen sharper, think paranoid, and live like a medieval ninja. Food's counted in how many days till we're eating socks, not pounds. Hands stay tucked under armpits, not for warmth, but because frostbite's a jerk who doesn't knock. Predators? They don't send invites. They crash with teeth, claws, and zero chill, ready to make you the main course. The church swears God's got your back, but he's not patrolling your chicken coop or shooing rats from the cellar. Those paw prints by your door? Divine interventions on back order. So, you triple-check locks, not ropes like a Boy Scout, keep the fire low, and sleep with a knife you can grab faster than your regrets. Sleep's half nap, half SWAT team alert. Any sound, and you're up. Mornings mean track patrol. Paw prints in the garden. Something scoping you out. Foxes sniffing the coop. Annoying. Wolves? Time to rethink life choices. You shovel paths not for insta-weathy walkways, but to make your hut less all you can eat to forest creeps. Some hand bone charms, carved sticks, or dried herbs over doors. Anti-wolf, anti-ghost, anti-bad vibes talismans. Do they work? Who knows? But you're not dumb enough to yeet them. Dreams turn feral. Teeth, eyes, stomping boots. You wake sweaty, breath fogging, ears perked just in case the nightmare's knocking. Winter doesn't just test muscles. It tests your grip on reality. Nerves fray, sleep's a myth, and safety's a fairy tale. Every dark night's a dare, every howl a memo. You're not king of the hill. You're just another snack hoping to outlast the cold. Eyes open, doors bolted, because staying warm's only half the gig. The rest? Not getting eaten. If something's hungry enough, it won't care about your prayers or your vibe check. It'll just come. Be ready. Because in this world, even rebellion catches frostbite. Food's gone, toes are ice cubes, roof's more hole than cover. Time to phone a friend, God, via the medieval church. Your part-time savior, full-time tax collector. Religion's not optional, it's oxygen, pumped into every hour, especially in winter, when death's RSVPing uninvited. You don't just believe in God, you live like he's got you on speed dial and he's not happy. The church isn't handing out warm fuzzies, it's serving rigid rules with a side of eternal doom. Miss Mass, cough up sins you didn't commit? You're not just risking hellfire, your neighbors will snitch, and suddenly everyone's blaming you for the plague or a bad harvest. Church is a freezer, stone walls, dirt floors, drafts aiming for your spine like medieval snipers. You huddle with neighbors, trying not to shiver loud enough to get side-signed for weakness, while the priest, cozy in robes, drones Latin that might as well be alien. Nod anyway. It's not about understanding, it's about not getting on the naughty list. Mass doesn't cancel for blizzards, river frozen, skate across. Kid coughing like they're auditioning for Exorcist, bundle 'em up and drag 'em along. Skipping Mass gets you clocked by the priest, neighbors, and that creepy front pew lady who never blinks. Tithes? A cosmic stick-up. Cough up 10% of everything. Grain, eggs, your last shred of dignity, even if you're slurping turnip water. Heaven's got bills, apparently. Winter's religion isn't just ritual, it's survival cosplay. Pray for warmth, food, or the willpower not to yeet your in-laws after 3 snowed-in months. Every problem's got a saint on speed dial. Sick cow, Saint Eligius. Frostbitten fingers, Saint Polycarp's gotcha, maybe. Lost your axe, Saint Anthony. Lost your marbles in January, Saint Dimmer, patron of barely hanging on. Relics are the rock stars, bones, teeth, holy, splinters in fancy cases or melted spoon shrines. You trudge through snow to kiss one, whispering prayers, not because you're a theology nerd, but because you're out of moves. Miracle vibes could save your kid, heal your pig, or at least make you feel less like a failure for 5 minutes. No miracle? Guess you didn't pray hard enough, or that bacon you ate in the dark was a sin. Confessions a winter must do. Kneel in a frozen booth, whisper your sins, adultery, theft, that time you definitely didn't eat bacon on a fast day, to a priest who's heard it all. He hands you penance, you leave lighter, then guilt sneaks back like a bad ex before you hit the door. Fasting's the worst. Advent, Lent, saint days mean no meat, eggs, or dairy when you're already rationing air. Your holy stew's just mold-free scraps, and you're calling it sacrifice while dreaming of bacon. Question it. Nope. The church owns land, calendars, and your soul's warranty. Screw up and it's eternal BBQ. No metaphor. Weather's a sermon. Storm, God's mad. Mild day, God's chill. Dead crops? Someone's sinned. Probably you. Villages are paranoia pressure cookers. Neighbors snitch on bad kneelers. Sabbath workers? Or kids asking why, one whisper, she muttered in mass. And you're dodging prayer circles or witch hunts. While you're freezing your toes off trying to be a saint, the priest's living the medieval equivalent of glamping. Not Lord-level rich, but he's sipping actual wine, chilling in a private room, maybe even flexing a feather pillow. He's all, your suffering's God's plan. Super convenient for him, less so for your frostbitten butt. But you buy it. What else you got? The church deals in hope like it's crypto, and in a world where a cough can yeet your kid or a roof can crush your neighbor, heaven's the ultimate it gets better pitch. Golden streets, no rats, no numb toes, sign me up. Because otherwise you're just eating misery for breakfast, and that's too grim to admit. You carve tiny crosses into bed beams, mumble rosaries in the dark, tie Saint Charms to your belt, Saint Safe, Saint Snooze, Saint Don't Die Before Dawn. Each ritual's a middle finger to despair. Can't fix cold or hunger, but maybe you can sweet-talk God into letting you see spring, even if your knees are raw from praying, and your pleas get the divine voicemail. When someone croaks, and winter's a serial killer, the church steps in to send them off, or at least tries. Frozen ground's a jerk, so graves are hacked with picks or left shallow like a bad Airbnb review. The priest mutters Latin over a frosty shroud, incense freezing mid-swing, while you bury them with red fingers and a face too numb to cry. Sometimes bodies just stay. A barn funeral or a grim house party with the corpse as guest of honor. Praying wolves don't crash. The church has spin. Death's a doorway. Cold can't chase you to heaven. Hunger's done. Believe, obey, and it's all temporary. So you kneel in a church, so cold your breath's a fog machine, confessing random sins for control, praying to a saint whose name's a blur. Faith isn't just about harps and halos. It's survival fuel. When winter howls, it's not fire or food keeping you going. It's the faint hope someone's listening. Belief's the one thing frost can't steal, even if it feels like shouting into a void. People think winter ends in March, like spring's a punctual Uber with flowers and sunshine. Ha! Medieval winter laughs at calendars, overstaying like a bad house guest. March can be as brutal as January. Snow's still dumping, ice is squatting on eaves, wind's screaming, and the sun's a pale slacker. Mud swabs in for snow, but life's not easier. Your boots just gained 10 pounds. Spring's a myth, hope's a gamble. By the time snow melts, winter's already left its Yelp review, starved, froze, or broke half the village. Some families limp through skinnier. Others, their chimneys stay cold, doors shut, no footprints. Just the eerie quiet of didn't make it. Stroll into town in April, and silent huts tell stories. The old guy whose cough won, the mom who gave her kids her bread till she faded, the kid who ghosted in February. Funerals, if they happen, are hushed. Graveyards overflow, but frozen dirt's a nightmare, so bodies chill in barns or caves till spring, stinking like regret. Survive? No victory parade. You don't sing to crocuses, you glare at the dirt like it owes you rent. Spring's not a glow-up, it's a muddy crawl from the grave you dodged. You're alive, but quieter, thinner, less lull-happy, less trusting. You've seen hunger turn neighbors into gremlins, cold steal futures, desperation rewrite morals. You don't talk about it, but you see it. Folks flinching at loud noises, hoarding crumbs, eyeballing firewood like it's gold. You know who buried someone by their hollow stare. Hunger doesn't quit just because winter's out. Your pantry's a ghost town, livestock skeletal, and fields won't feed you for months. You boil the same sad roots, bake bread hard enough to commit crimes, and pray for rain, not frost. Winter broke your tools, rotted your roof, trashed your shed. Spring's just a new to-do list. Patch fences, fix wheels, hoe dirt while hacking up January's leftovers, all while pretending you're not starving or grieving. Nightmares linger, barefoot chases through snow by something with your brother's face. You plant seeds with cracked hands, fake it till you make it, and hope the dirt coughs up something worth surviving for. Records? More gaps than stats. Whispering of a season that didn't just test you, it tried to end you. Parish logs jot down who got buried, not why. Boring. Chroniclers mumble about harsh seasons and weird death spikes, but skip the tea. A village of 60 might be 40 by April. 10-year-olds look like they've seen 2 divorces, and women lose pregnancies just from winter's icy side-eye. Medieval winter wasn't a hurdle you cleared. It was a gauntlet you crawled through, barely breathing. You made it, sure, but not as a glowing Instagram survivor. Just a wheezing husk. Trauma? No one had the word, but the vibes were there. Hollow stairs, kids jumping at wind gusts, dudes yelling in their sleep like they're auditioning for Nightmare on Peasant Street. Move on? Rebuild? Be grateful? Yeah, right. Some folks don't bounce back. They go mute, chug ale like it's a job, or pray till their knees file for bankruptcy. Others just fade. Working fields like zombies, eating without tasting, staring through family like they're NPCs. These are survivors too, just the lights on, nobody home edition. The church has got buzzwords, divine tests, holy suffering, blah blah. Sounds deep till your baby doesn't wake up or your mom's buried in a frost pile. Then God's will feels like a cosmic whatever. Still, you keep trucking. No choice. Feed chickens, patch the door, teach your kid to sniff flour for mold like it's a life skill. Life doesn't restart because it's sunny. It just keeps dragging you along like a bad Netflix series no one canceled. Then, late May, a green speck pops up, probably a weed, but you stare like it's a Grammy winner. Spring doesn't erase the suck, it just piles new chores on top, like a sadistic to-do list. Losses linger, silence sticks, and you remember every name that didn't make it. Find a boot, knife, or kid's doll in the thaw, you pick it up, say nothing, and shove the feels down deep. Laughter creeps back, quiet, like it's on probation, around a fire, with stew that's almost not tragic. A kid chases a chicken, someone toots a tune on a flute that's seen better days. Wet earth and grass replace the mildew death. Funk, not joy, just motion, that's the best you get. Happiness? Nah, you'll settle for less pain. You learn to plant early, hoard smarter, brace harder, but deep down you know next winter might be the final boss. It's coming, like a sequel no one asked for. You live with scars, stories, and hope, so cautious it's basically paranoia. Don't talk about the worst bits. Everyone's got their own frostbitten horror reel. Passing the churchyard, eyes forward, see new sprouts, feel old grief. How was winter, someone asks. You nod, mutter, we made it, because that's the peasant code, the real story. Cold, messy, grim. Lives in your cloak's tight grip, your double-counted rations, your wolf-listening ears, even in spring's sun. Survival's no hero arc, it's just not keeling over. In the Middle Ages, that's the gold star. You wipe your hands, stoke the fire, plant the next seed, and brace for winter's inevitable comeback tour. No promises, no warmth, no food, no tomorrow's chill. Making it through, that's the closest you get to a miracle. No ballads, no statues, just another spring in the quiet flux of still here. Survival doesn't make you legendary. It just means you're standing when the snow says uncle. In a medieval winter, that's the only W that counts. One more breath, one more season. Endure, you gritty legend. All right, you've clawed your way to spring, but don't pop the mead just yet. Medieval life post-winter's like waking up from a bender in a ditch. Sure, you're alive, but your to-do list's longer than a monk's prayer scroll. And your vibe's still, why me? Let's talk about the other stuff you're juggling when the snow finally ghosts you, because winter's exit doesn't mean you're chilling with a tankard and a lute. First up, the village gossip mill's back in full swing, and it's spicier than your sad turnip stew. Winter kept everyone too frozen to stir the pot, but now? Oh, it's open season. Who accidentally burned their cousin's firewood? Who was way too cozy with the miller's apprentice during that blizzard? You're dodging side eyes sharper than your dull axe, because one wrong step and you're the talk of the tavern, minus the free ale. Keep your head down, or you'll be starring in peasant drama spring edition. Then there's the barter hustle. Winter trashed your surplus, those extra eggs, that half-decent cloak, the pig you swore you'd trade for a new plow, gone, eaten or frozen. Now you're haggling with old Agnes, who's got the only decent spade in town, and she's eyeing your last chicken like it's a gold bar. Bartering's less fair trade and more who's the better liar. You fake a limp to up your pity points, she claims her spades, blessed by St. Cuthbert. It's a grift off, and you're both broke. Oh, and your body's a wreck. Winter didn't just starve you, it turned your muscles into sad noodles and your joints into creaky barn doors. Every swing of the hoe feels like arm wrestling a boar, and your back's whining louder than the village drunk on market day. You're chugging nettle tea like it's a Jim Bros protein shake, hoping it'll glue your bones back together. Spoiler, it won't, but it'll make your breath smell like a swamp, so win. The kids are another headache. Winter kept them cooped up, shivering and whining, but spring's like letting feral cats loose. They're sprinting through mud, helping by trampling your fresh-planted seeds, or borrowing your only hammer to fight dragons, like a whack a fence post into splinters. You can't yell too loud, neighbors are watching, and bad parent gossip spreads faster than fleas, so you grit your teeth, hand them a stick, and call it crow-scaring duty to keep them busy. Let's not forget the clothing crisis. Your winter tunic's more holes than fabric, patched so many times it's basically a quilt with ambitions. Spring means scrubbing the grime off in the river. Good luck, it's baked in like your regrets, and sewing new threads with a needle duller than a priest's sermon. You're no tailor, so your stitches look like a drunk spider's web, but it's either that or flash the village, and nobody's ready for that scandal. Market days are back, and they're a circus. You trudge miles with your sad basket of turnips, hoping to trade for a sack of barley or, dream big, a candle that doesn't smell like regret. But the market's a shark tank. Traders jack up prices, pickpockets swarm, and some guy's trying to sell magic beans that look suspiciously like pebbles. You haggle like your life depends on it. It does, but end up with half a sack and a grudge bigger than your mud-caked boot. The animals are extra now too. Your chickens, who spent winters sulking like divas, are suddenly laying eggs like they're gunning for Employee of the Month. Great, except they're hiding them in the thatch, under the bed, or, true story, in your one good shoe. The goat's spring fever's worse. It's head-butting fences, eating your seedlings, or staring you down like it's plotting a coup. You're half tempted to trade it for a turnip, but it's your only milk source, so you just yell and hope it gets the hint. And let's talk about the smell. Winter's mildew, death, funk's gone, but spring's got its own bouquet. Wet mud, blooming weeds, and the cow's gifts thawing in the yard. Your hut's earing out, but now it's a magnet for flies the size of sparrows. buzzing like they own the place. You're swatting, cursing, and praying for a breeze that doesn't smell like nature's revenge. Community duties creep back too. The village needs a new bridge after winter's floods, and guess who's on shovel duty? You, alongside Grumpy Ned, who's still mad you borrowed his rake in 23. Everyone's pitching in, or pretending to, while slacking behind the tavern. It's less team spirit and more do it or the priest will guilt trip you in Sunday's sermon. Plus, you're dodging the Lord's tax collector, who's sniffing around for spring dues, like you've got coin hiding in your straw mattress. Worst of all, the itch to hope again. Spring's green sprouts and chirpy birds trick you into thinking life's about to slap a happy filter on everything. You start dreaming of a fat harvest, a dry roof, maybe even a new cloak that doesn't scream, "I fought a wolf and lost." But then you remember, summer's got droughts, pests, and the Lord's surprise taxes. Hope's a sneaky jerk, setting you up for a fall harder than your last slip on the icy path. Still, you lean into it, not because you're a dreamy optimist, but because giving up's not an option when the chickens need feeding and the fields won't plant themselves. You squint at the horizon, half expecting winter to pull a psyche and dump snow in June. Every seed you sow's a bet against the universe, and you're no gambler, just a stubborn peasant who's too broke to quit. The village starts buzzing with plans. Weddings, feasts, maybe a fair if the Lord's feeling generous. He's not. You're roped into helping, whether it's hauling tables or pretending you care about Widow Maud's turnip pie recipe. It's exhausting, but there's a flicker of not suck in the air. Shared ale, a bad joke, kids laughing without fear. It's not joy, just the ghost of it, and you'll take it. You're still you, though. Scarred, wary, counting every sprout like it's a gold coin. The churchyard's new mounds keep you grounded. The priest's God's mercy spiel feels like a used car pitch. You nod, plant, barter, swat flies, and brace for whatever's next. Because in the Middle Ages, spring's not a fresh start. It's a shaky truce, with a world that's always got one more punch ready. So you keep at it, because stopping's for lords and lunatics. You mend, you sow, you dodge Agnes's shady spade deals. You laugh when you can, cry when you must, and never trust a sunny day too much. Winter taught you that, and when the next cold snap looms, you'll be ready, not because you're a hero, but because you're too stubborn to let the frost win. So you're stumbling into spring like a peasant-shaped bruise, thinking you've outsmarted winter's murder spree. Spoiler, the universe isn't done throwing curveballs. Medieval spring isn't just mud and hope. It's a chaotic gauntlet of new headaches, from nosy lords to nature's petty revenge. Let's dive into the next batch of Why Is This My Life? Moments you're navigating when the frost finally bails. First, the Lord's spring inspection. Winter kept him cozy in his manor, but now he's prancing around, eyeballing your sad fields like he's Gordon Ramsay judging your stew. He's got a quill-toting clerk noting every wilted sprout, expecting you to explain why your barley's not Instagram ready yet. You mumble about bad weather while sweating, because one snarky word, and he's hiking your dues or borrowing your last goat for his feast. Smile, nod, and pray he trips in the mud. Then there's the pest invasion. Winter's cold kept the bugs at bay, but spring's like Coachella for critters. Aphids swarm your crops, weevils party in your grain sack, and some mystery beetles chomping your cabbages like it's a buffet. You're out there with a stick, swatting like a budget exorcist, or burning smelly herbs to scare them off. Does it work? About as well as your prayers for a full pantry. Meanwhile, the priest hinting your bug plagues because you skimped on last month's tithe. Your tools are another saga. Winter's damp rotted your hoe handle, rusted your scythe, and turned your plow into a sad sculpture. Fixing them's a quest. Find a blacksmith who's not drunk, trade your last decent basket for repairs, or DIY with a rock in sheer spite. Every swing's a gamble. Snap a handle mid-field, and you're hoeing with your hands while the neighbors whisper, "That's what you get for not praying harder." The weather's a mood-swinging jerk, too. Spring's not all sunny vibes. One day it's warm, the next it's a freak hailstorm, shredding your seedlings like a vengeful toddler. You're out there at dawn, draping rags over crops to shield them, looking like a lunatic playing blanket fort with turnips. Then it rains for a week, flooding your fields into a swampy soup. You wade through, salvaging what you can, cursing the sky like it owes you rent. Don't forget the village justice system waking up. Winter's cold slowed the constable's stick swinging, but spring's got him flexing. Someone stole a spade? Public flogging. Someone's cow wandered into your yard? Fine, plus a lecture. You're tiptoeing around like it's a minefield, because even looking at the wrong turnip can land you in explain yourself jail. And the constable's new deputy? Your neighbor who still thinks you owe him for that loaned bucket from 24. Your social life's a minefield too. Spring means weddings, and you're roped into helping chopping logs for the feast, stirring vats of mystery stew, or dodging drunk uncles at the dance. Sounds fun, till you realize you're footing half the bill in eggs and ale because community spirit. Say no? Good luck. You're now that stingy jerk for the next decade. Plus, the bride's mom's already hinting your kid's next, and you're like, they're 12, chill. The kid's schooling, like a learn to not die, ramps up. Winter was about keeping them warm. Spring's about teaching them to weed fields, mend nets, or spot a rotten root before it poisons the pot. You're half teacher, half drill sergeant, barking, "No, Timmy, that's a weed, not lunch," while they sulk. Mess up, they'll ruin your crop, or trade your best knife for a shiny rock. Parenting's less nurture and more don't let 'em yeet the harvest. Your diet's still a tragedy. Spring's green, but not edible green. Those sprouts are weeks from feeding you. You're foraging like a desperate squirrel, scrounging nettles, dandelions, or that one plant you're 70% sure isn't poison. Boil it, choke it down, call it salad. The village baker's got fresh bread, but it's priced like it's gold-dusted. So you're gnawing last month's crusts, dreaming of a day when full isn't a fairy tale. The Lord's spring hunt is another kick in the shins. He's galloping through your fields, trampling crops with his posse, chasing deer like it's a medieval Fast and Furious. You're expected to cheer, maybe offer your last loaf as tribute, while praying his horse doesn't flatten your onions. Complain, he'll fine you for disrespect. And suddenly you're eating air for a month. Grit teeth, wave, plot revenge in your dreams. Finally, the mental toll of starting over. Winter's gone, but its ghost lingers in every cracked pot, every empty corner where someone used to sit. You're rebuilding, physically, sure, but also that tiny spark of maybe this won't suck forever. You plant, you barter, you dodge the priest's guilt trips, all while carrying the weight of what if it's worse next year. You don't say it, but it's there, like a wolf's howl you can't unhear. Yet, you keep at it. Not because you're a motivational poster, but because stopping's for dead people. You swap a turnip for a nail, teach your kid to not poison the stew, swat bugs like a budget superhero. There's a moment, maybe a warm dusk, a shared laugh over bad ale, where you think, okay, I'm still here. It's not victory, just stubbornness with a side of mud. And in the Middle Ages, that's as close to winning as you get. All right, you're still kicking in spring, but the medieval grind's got one last trick up its muddy sleeve. Just when you think you've dodged winter's knockout punch, spring throws a few more jabs to keep you humble. These final hurdles aren't just chores, they're the universe reminding you that easy is for lords and lunatics. Let's wrap up the peasant saga with the last bits of chaos you're wrestling as the seasons shift. The village festival's looming, and it's less, yay, party, and more, who's paying for this? The Lord's gifting a feast to boost morale, but surprise, you're supplying half the grub. Your sad turnip stash and that one scrawny hen on the chopping block. You're hauling tables, brewing ale that tastes like regret, and dodging the inevitable brawl when someone accuses someone else of stealing the best pie, smile through it, or you're the buzzkill who ruined the vibe. Your hut's a health hazard now. Spring's damp's got mold creeping up the walls like it's auditioning for a horror flick. You're scrubbing with vinegar and prayers, but it's a losing battle. Meanwhile, the thatch sprouting weeds, literal plants, making your roof look like a hipster garden. Fixing it means climbing up with a knife and zero balance, praying you don't eat yourself into the mud. Neighbors laugh. You curse their lineage. Then there's the taxman's encore. Winter's dues weren't enough. Spring's got planting fees because the Lord's castle needs a new tapestry or whatever. He's sniffing around, eyeing your one decent basket like it's a gold nugget. You hide it under the kid's straw bed, fake a cough, and swear you're poorer than dirt. It's a performance, but if you flub your lines, you're eating grass till June. Finally, the mental resets the real kicker. Winter's scars. Grief, fear, that time you almost ate a shoe, don't vanish with the sun. You're planting, sure, but every seed's a flashback to empty pantries and frozen nights. You fake optimism for the kids, but inside you're bracing for winter's sequel, like it's a horror franchise. You don't trust the warm breeze, it's just summer's hype man, and you're not buying the merch. Still, you keep moving. Not because you're some plucky hero, but because the alternative's curling up in a ditch, and you're too petty for that. You trade a turnip for a nail, scrub mold, dodge the tax man, and laugh at the festival brawl like it's peak entertainment. Spring's not a happy ending. It's a shaky to be continued with better lighting. You endure, because in the Middle Ages, that's the only story you get to write.